Hello, um, uh, my name is Priyal, and today I'm going to talk about splitting the user stories. So let's go ahead. So we will begin our conversation with Agile requirement model in this particular slide. And our focus of discussion today will be at the story level. So we already know that there is epics which are broken down into features, and then features are decomposed into stories and could be decomposed into enabler stories. Now the scope of our conversation is going to be in this particular last row. How do we decompose features into stories, as well as split the user stories so that we can make the most benefit out of it? Now, basically, before even getting into that, so what are the user stories? So user stories are nothing but small piece of desired functionality that is actually written in the perspective of user's language. So, and they are basically small so that we can fit them into a single iteration. And usually they are completed within an iteration. That is what is our intent, and so that we can get quick feedback, we can deliver value at the end of iteration, right? That's the purpose. That is why we keep it small. User stories express the functionality in user's language. It means it is at a with respect to the user's voice. There are a couple of other stories called enabler stories, for example exploration story or spike story, for example architecture story or infrastructure or compliance story. Now let us move forward from here in terms of how do we write user stories. Now, this is a common template to write a user story. Uh, the user story template is nothing but as a user role, I want to do some activity so that I can achieve a business value. Now, user role is the description of the person doing that action. Activity is what the user is intent. What is the intention of the user? What he wants to do with the system? Sorry. And business value is why the user wants to do this activity, what does he want to achieve. Now let us look at two examples here. As a traveler, I want to receive flight timing alerts so that I can plan my travel. So here the traveler is nothing but who has booked a ticket with the flight, he made a flight reservation, and he would like to receive any alerts in terms of the changes in the flight timing or etc, the departure time or whatever, so that he can rightly book his taxi or travel right to the airport. Now, as a traveler, I want to book the in-flight meal so that I can enjoy the meal I like during my travel. So that is another user story. So the way we are writing the user story from the user's perspective, it is what the user is intending to achieve rather than the system's requirement, right? So only if it is valuable to the user, we are going to build. That's the mindset which we are trying to have. Now, what is this user role, right? For basically, we are trying to, or why we are writing it is in the this particular format. This particular format will help us in terms of understanding for whom we are building it, whether it is a traveler, whether it is an admin user, or whether it is a travel agent, or whether it is for the call center who's managing the reservation platform, right? And these are the folks who are coming, right? So basically, if you look at, these are called as personas or potential users. Now let's say if we have a platform for reservation or flight reservation, if you think in terms of who are the people who might come and use our platform, possibly our platform could be used by a third party travel agent, so the travel agents may log in and book couple of tickets in bulk. Maybe they are having some holiday packages, we have some kind of a functionality there, and maybe we pay them a set of commission, or maybe we give them a 5% discount or 3% discount, and that is their revenue or whatever, right? And there are other people who are nothing but the call center support. The call center support is maybe the internal group who's supporting the application. Maybe they're supporting the travel agents also, they are supporting the various travelers also. Now there are other two types of users who are nothing but the end users or the travelers again. Now this guy is an economy traveler. Maybe his mindset is nothing but he wants to save money and wants to search economical flights. to fly or plan his trip. Whereas this guy is a business traveler or a business delegate. He just wants to sit back and enjoy. I mean, he wants comfort while he's flying, right? So he's a business traveler. So he possibly will not care much about how much money he's spending, but as long as it is comfortable. So maybe he would travel in probably first class or maybe business class, and this person is an economy traveler. And this call center person supports all these people on the platform in terms of searching, looking up by PNR number if there are any queries, any issues, maybe to resolve that. So once you have identified the persona, then when you go back and look at the template, right? So I'm going to the previous slide. As a user role, now what are the various roles we may have, or for whom we may build this functionality? It could be, as a call center support agent, I would like to look up the ticket based on the PNR. Okay, as a call center agent, I would like to book a ticket for the person who is calling me online right now, right? As an economy traveler, I would like to book my own ticket. Business traveler, I would like to book my own ticket. Third party agent or travel agent would like to book tickets in bulk. Maybe there are various personas, and they come here for different purpose, right? So that is how we understand this persona. Persona is a potential user. Only when we understand personas, we will be able to write effective or clear user stories from their point of view. Now, who actually defines the user stories? Our product owner defines the user stories. And what is important for him to define the user story? Okay, so when we talk about defining a user story, what we have heard is, in agile way of working, the product owner defines the user story and he accepts the user story. Whereas, so I will just put here, sorry about that. Okay, so the PO defines user story and he accepts the user story. Okay, whereas the team, what does the team do? The team refines the user story, or maybe splits the user story, or maybe PO also can split the user story, no harm. And maybe team also grooms or refines and splits the user story, and they write the acceptance criteria of the user story. Okay, so now how does this happen? So if you look at, the product owner defines the user story, he accepts the user story, but the team is refining the user story and writing the acceptance criteria. Now, how can the PO accept a user story when the team has written the acceptance criteria? So if you look at, there should be some kind of a collaboration, right? And PO is such type of a role which is integral to the agile team. So it means that the product owner must, day in day out, must be closely working with the agile team in terms of providing them the clarification, what are the requirements or what are the user stories, and he is like the face of the customer for the team. Now let us try to solve this by using this 3C's 3C's concept. Now 3C's is nothing but, the 3C's stand for card, conversation and confirmation. Now, what happens in the card? On the card, the product owner has defined a user story, and it's like a small card, right? And the reason we are taking it as card, so that we just like write a brief description of what is the goal of the user. As a traveler, I want to receive flight departure notification so that I can plan travel. Now, the question is, there's a conversation between the PO and the team. So when the story is onboarded by the product owner, the conversation between the PO and team is about, okay, what kind of notifications do you want? Do you want SMS notification? Do you want email notification? Should we send you a WhatsApp? Then maybe the product owner says, oh yeah, we don't want email and all that. Any text messaging will work. Okay, so they just want a text messaging. Now he's not exactly telling whether it is a SMS, WhatsApp. Yeah, maybe anything would work. It doesn't matter, but not email. Text is fine. Okay, now the story acceptance criteria. So here the notification contains the flight ID. The notification is delivered 24 hours prior to travel. Some kind of acceptance criteria is written here. And the product owner says, oh yeah, you got that right. If you send me all this information in the text to my cell phone or to my WhatsApp, that is going to work. Okay, so If you look at now, the PO has defined the user story. The team has refined and written the acceptance criteria. Once the development is completed, the PO can accept the user story. Now, this has built a shared understanding between the PO and the team, right? Now, let us go to the next step in terms of, looking at how do we write good stories. So this is in terms of how do we create alignment during writing stories. Now we will get into how do we write good stories. When we are fundamentally writing a good story, we require to follow a format called INVEST. INVEST is an acronym which is about writing a story which is independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. Now, this model or this INVEST model was developed by Bill Wake. And now let us get into what do we mean by independent. So most of the time people ask me, how can a story be independent? We always have dependent stories across team. My story is dependent on another person's story and all that. Yeah, all that is fine. Stories can be dependent on each other. Okay. However, when we craft a story or when we slice a small story, we should ensure that whether one developer independently can develop that, okay, can be developed independently. For example, if you have written a story to maybe I would like to receive notifications as a user, I would like to receive that notification. Now to receive a notification, maybe you would like to write a backend API, maybe you want to integrate with a messaging server or whatnot. And maybe there are two people who are required. One is to integrate with the messaging server, and maybe you would like to integrate with the backend API. Now this story cannot be developed independently. There are two people required. So when two people are required, what might happen is the story there are chances that these two people may not be able to collaborate during the time of iteration, and they may not be able to complete the story together, right? Hence, if we can slice the story right, if we can write a story right, as a user, I would like to maybe not as a user, maybe if we have to breaking down, these are coming as a enabler stories, right? Maybe write a API to push the notification to the messaging server, then write another thing like, uh, provide the infrastructure of messaging server so that we can send outbound messages or text messages, correct? So there are two stories, maybe two people can take up that, or maybe the messaging story is taken by another team or whatever, right? Stories can be negotiable. Negotiable meaning what? Now we already saw one of the example in terms of negotiating. Okay, we decided we would like to receive notification. Then what kind of notification? Okay, we would like to receive text based notification. Yeah, okay, can it be text based notification? Yeah, we can do maybe SMS notification. Now within that, what information you require? Okay, give me a high level detail about when my flight is arriving and this. Okay, now should we send you the flight number, flight date, day, time, etc., or so many attributes, or along with the PNR number? Oh, maybe not. We don't have access to the PNR number in this current sprint. Can we only send you the flight ID and the time? What is the departure time rather than the PNR number also? Maybe when we integrate next time, we can send the PNR number later. So I'm negotiating the requirements of the story along with the PO because that information is not available with me at the given point in time. The next V is valuable. Valuable is very straightforward, that the stories must be valuable to the customer, that we should be able to use it. Stories should be estimable. They should be small so that we can complete within an iteration. They are testable, straightforward. Okay. So when we are writing a user story, the user story should have these characteristics. Now let us get into few of the concepts of user stories, of splitting of the user stories. These are a couple of ways in which we can split user stories. One is the using the workflow steps. One is using business rule variations. One is using major effort, simple and complex effort, variations in data methods, defer system qualities, operations, use cases, scenarios, and breakout spike. Now let us look at this one by one in terms of how do we, how do we split the user stories with example. Just give me a second. I will just open a notepad. Now we will take the first one. Okay. So I hope I am sharing this notepad. Let me just put again. Okay. I think this is shared. Okay. Fine. So the first one is workflow step. Now, what is workflow steps? Maybe as a user performs couple of steps to complete the activity, right? So we can use that kind of a concept. First he will select a flight. Okay. Maybe then he will add the details to the trip or the traveler details. Okay. Then possibly he will make the payment. Okay. So for example, as a traveler, I want to select the flight. Maybe I will search a flight, so that I can choose the desired route. Okay, something like this. So this is one story. As a traveler, I want to add the details of passengers or passenger list so that I can reserve reserve the seats. Okay. As a traveler, I want to review the detailed bill before checkout so that I can ensure that I am spending in my limits or budget. Okay. As a traveler, I want to check out. And so that I can confirm my reservation. Okay. Checkout is nothing but making that payment. So these are a couple of examples of, workflow step, or workflow steps are nothing but a series of activities, series or sequence of activities that the user will take to complete a flow, right? So this is one of the examples. Now let us go to the next one. The next example, sorry about that. The next example is nothing but business rule variation. Now, business rule variations. Okay. Now, in terms of business rule variations, the next scenario what we will consider is, as a user, I want to pay for the flight tickets based on the origin, destination, city or country, so that my flight invoice contains all the applicable heads for airport taxes. So the scenario here is, if you guys remember, there are airport taxes applicable. Okay, applicable when you fly. Okay, so basically, if you have seen, the flight charges are maybe some INR 2000 rupees, and the airport charges are added to the flight for the flight, and that whole together is billed to the end user. Now, different airports in different cities and countries may have different airport charges, correct? So we need to bill it differently based on the various rules, right? So now what we are talking about is, how do we bill the customer? So now we will write the first story as a user. So if I'm a product owner, I will write like this: as a traveler, I want to pay for the flight tickets all inclusive, okay, so that rather than all inclusive, flight tickets and other charges, so that I don't have to pay separately at the airport. Okay, something like this. Now, if I have to tell you, there are a couple of airports worth noting, right? Maybe in the international, maybe Brunei airport, okay, where passengers are leaving for Indonesia or Malaysia and Philippines, they have lower fee. Whereas, in Egypt, passengers have to make cash payment, and that too only in Egyptian pounds. Okay, so there are various business rules which are applicable when you book a ticket. So when you are booking a ticket to Egypt, possibly you need to, that charge is not included in your flight ticket, but you need to pay in cash. But maybe in Brunei or India or maybe Guyana, all of this is put in your ticket. Or maybe in Guyana, what I recollect, what I've read is nothing but you need to pay in Guyanese dollars. Okay, so now how do we break this into different business rules? Now let us do it like this, right? As a user or as a traveler, I would like to bill the customer originating from India, so that we can upfront include the airport taxes. Okay, next story would be, as a traveler, I would like to bill only the flight charges for the travelers, flight charges while traveling to Egypt, EGYPT, so that I can pay in Egyptian pounds. Okay, so these are a couple of stories. So this story is broken down into these two stories. Okay, and we are incrementally adding the business rules, right? So you may add here, as a traveler, for various other business rules, right? Maybe for various country specific business rules. Now let us get into the next next one, variation of data. Now, okay, the next one is not variation of data, major effort and major effort and minor effort. Now, when we look at major effort and minor effort, let us look at like this, right? Let's take a scenario where when we book a ticket, right? When we book a ticket, we ask people that, okay, do you want to subscribe for newsletters or whatever? Okay. So, and when people subscribe for newsletters, promo codes, send me emails about the deals, um, there are a couple of things which we can do. Now, should we send emails to the user about the deals every day? Okay. Whenever there is a deal available, should we send emails about some news each time a news is published, or we have a news event or whatever? Okay. Or maybe we are plaguing his emails, or should we send emails to the user consolidated at the end of a day? That's a question. I don't know. So, or should we send email to the user at the end of the week? I mean, this will have a consolidated. So I will call this as maybe a daily digest of subscription, and this is your weekly digest. And I will emails about each time. This is your real-time notification. As soon as the news is available, he gets a message. Okay. Now, what we are trying to do here is the major effort. Okay. Now, in terms of the major effort, we will write some enabler stories, right? If we want to send some push notification, so we are saying that the system must send push notifications for all the subscriptions based on the preferences. Now, what are preferences? Preferences could be for maybe the general news, preferences for the promo code, preferences for any deals or whatever, right? So you may get these kind of 3 subscriptions we have, and these 3 subscriptions you can be enrolled into all or any one of them or none of them, and you may receive instant emails, daily emails, or weekly emails. Okay. So now, how would we write that? Write a API for real-time notifications, okay, for flight alerts. Okay. Now, what we are trying to do is we are splitting this. There's a major work, right? Write a API for sending real-time notification for flight alerts, and only for news, some news. Okay. Now, write a API for real-time notification for flight alerts, only for maybe what is that? Deals. Write a API for real-time notification for maybe the promo code. Now write a API for sending daily digest. Now, what is the difference here? Real time, as soon as you have, you send it. In daily digest, maybe you have to construct the daily digest. You may have an email template for it. Okay, there are a couple of things which may need to be done. So we are splitting this major effort into small efforts so that we can incrementally construct a email template for daily email, and maybe we can have a similar API for maybe, for your weekly digest. Okay. So what you are doing is basically you split that major effort into small minor efforts, and you are incrementally building that. Right. Now we will go to the next one, simple and complex. Okay. Now, when we talk about simplicity and complexity, okay, so we'll take an example where I want to subscribe for important alerts about my flight so that I can travel well. Okay, so as a user, I want to subscribe for the alerts about my flight so that I can plan my travel. Okay, now what kind of alerts you want to subscribe? Okay, now it is very open-ended. Subscribe alerts about flight so that I can plan my travel. Whether you want to subscribe alert for flight in terms of flight timing, whether you want to subscribe the alert for flights if there are any deals so that you can plan your vacation, whether you want to just subscribe for some newsletter what's happening around globally in terms of the aviation or whatever, right? Maybe whatever, right? So now we are going to break down this into, as a user, I want to subscribe for flight departure alerts so that I can plan my travel to the airport, right? This is one thing. Then second one is I want to subscribe or receive, okay, and text message with all information about my flight. So now when you say I want to subscribe for the flight departure alert, basically there is a, here we are talking about a UI screen where the person goes, where the user goes and says, okay, I want to subscribe. Here we are talking about I want to receive a text message with the information about my flight. He actually receives this maybe from a backend API. Okay, maybe we are talking about a API here. So we are breaking down this into multiple levels, right? So based on the complexity, you can again break down more or less. When you look at all of these, right, it may appear that when you learn one of them, maybe you are able to understand, okay, these are quite related, major effort, complexity. But the fundamental difference between major effort and complexity is, major effort is first you build the fundamental base of it, okay, and then you start building incrementally around that, right? Whereas in complexity, what happens, we are discussing a lot of requirements. Oh, I want to subscribe for this also, I want to receive this also, I want to receive a weekly email, daily digest, real-time email. And you know, you're confused in terms of whether you want to receive what email and how do we want to proceed ahead. Should we do entire thing? Okay, guys, stop now. And what is that fundamental basic minimum first thing which we need to do? Okay, now we are breaking down that complex into smaller things. Okay, the first simplest thing is nothing but I want to do these two things. So I'm breaking down into the first two simplest things. Then I'm starting appending to the these things the rest of the items, like, you know, I want to subscribe for maybe subscribe for deals. I want to, you know, receive text messages for deals. Okay, then next you may get into, okay, I want to receive possibly a real-time email, real-time notifications, or I want to receive daily digest, I want to receive weekly digest, I want to unsubscribe. As a user, I want to unsubscribe, right? So maybe, so what we have done is we have taken a complex functionality, we broke down into what is the fundamental simplest thing which we can demonstrate. And on top of that, we started building one by one, one by one, one by one. Okay, fine. So these are a couple of examples in terms of breaking down something from simple and complex. Now let us look into variations of data. Now, when we talk about variations of data, splitting the stories based on variation in data. Now, when you talk about splitting in variation of data, data variation is nothing but based on some source data or existing database, or whatever data we may have to, we can build incrementally based on the kind of a data which we have. For example, maybe we can take is, as a user, I want to search a flight. Search flight with economy class so that I can save on my cost. Okay. Now, you know whether in your database, whether the flights with economy seats are available or not. Now, the next one could be, as a user, I want to search flights, okay, with premium seats. Okay, so that I can have a comfortable journey. Okay, the next one could be premium seats as a user. I want to, okay, maybe now next one we can take in terms of data boundaries. Okay, now what are variations by data boundaries? For example, I want to view the flights or search the flight or select the flight route so that I can choose my transit point. Okay. For example, now you have searched for these economy classes. Now within this, maybe you are flying from India to US and there are a couple of transit points. Maybe you can get into maybe Dubai or maybe Paris or maybe UK or whatever, right? So as a user, I want to view the flight route based on the flight route so that I can choose my transit point. So now this transit point is always associated with the flight route. Okay, that is why I'm classifying this based on the data boundaries. Okay, as a user, another thing is one is the data boundaries, and now you search this flight. What else you can do? Maybe you can get the details of this route, right? I want to view the flight route, view the details of the route. So when I say I want to view the details of the route, so here we search the flight with economy class. Now, after searching the flight, the user wants to view the flight route so that he knows that, okay, whether it is a UK transit or maybe London transit, Paris transit or Dubai transit. Now, second, he wants to click that and see what is the transit time between the connected flights, right? How much time distance it is from which terminal to which terminal, what he wants to go, or maybe some kind of a detail. So maybe this is the additional detail for these two, but at the data boundaries, we are able to split furthermore stories from here again, right? Now let us get into the next one. The next one is data methods. Now, what are data methods? Okay, so when we talk about data methods are nothing but the data entry method. For example, now I'm going to check out the flight. Just before checking out the flight, what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do is fill the passenger list. Okay, so I can say as a traveler, I want to add my, or I want to create my profile information so that I don't have to re-enter again next time. Okay, rather than re-enter next time, I would say as a user, so that I don't, so that I can save time for the next reservation. Okay, next one here, as a traveler, I want to so I just created my own profile. Now let's say we are just when we talk about data methods, okay, or data entry methods, basically we are talking about data entry methods. So I'm entering this data. We are additionally incrementally building this data. I want to add my family information as passenger list again, so that I can save time for next reservation, and I can just check and include them. As a traveler, I want to add friends or others as my list of passengers. So you can do this. Next one is, as a traveler, pardon for my spelling mistakes and typos, I want to update my emergency address and phone number or contact. Okay, emergency contact, rather than, will not get into that many details. Okay, so these are the data entry methods. So what we are doing in the data entry methods is basically we are incrementally building that we are incrementally building the data entry data one by one set of attributes and giving that functionality. Now we will go to the next one in terms of deferring system qualities. Now, what are the deferred system qualities? For example, deferring system quality is nothing but uh, there is a feature of the system. Okay, for example, we would like to collate all the daily digest emails for promo deals, right? Okay, and I said we have to consolidate all the daily digest emails. So maybe there is a promo code, there is a newsletter, news, and maybe a deal. So if someone has subscribed all the three, you don't want to send them 3 emails. Maybe you want to send them one consolidated email, and that is what I would say as, uh, deferring that system quality or a system feature. Now, initially, when we are building the system, maybe we will build all of these separately. But now when we are enhancing the system, possibly now we will enhance this at the last. Okay, we have independently implemented all of this, and now we will complete the rest of the functionality. Therefore, system qualities. For example, I'm calling this as a system requirement. So I will use the term system here. As a system, I want to collate all the daily digest emails for, let's say, the deals or promo code or news, so that I can build, so that I can send this as one email. Okay, so that I can send. So it will not be clumsy for the end user. Otherwise, it'll just block our website, right? So we'll just consolidate and send him at one email, right? So this is like, deferring the system quality. Another system quality is, now we have built that email as a system. I want to push the daily digest email to the traveler. Okay. Or to the subscribers, Okay. So this way, rather than as a system, I would use as a traveler. I want to receive consolidated email for all my subscription, so that I can manage my inbox well. Okay. Now we will get into operations. Operations is straightforward. We will not get into much details. What are operations? Operations are your CRUD operations. Okay. So in terms of your operations are your CRUD operations. So it would be like, as an admin user, I would like to onboard a new airline service, so that airline service, so that our customers can buy tickets of that, right? So as a admin, I want to onboard. Okay, rather than onboard, I'll say I'll just use the CRUD itself. I want to create a new airline in the system. Okay, so that we can onboard news airline provider. Okay, as a admin, I want to update the details of existing airline, so that we can keep the airline information up to date. Okay, as an admin, I want to delete or inactivate or disable, inactivate the airline that is no airline, so that we need not list the airlines those are out of service. Okay, something like this. The next one is as a admin, I want to search the airline by airline, so that I can manage the airline information. Okay. The next one is use case scenarios. Now, what are use case scenarios? Use case scenarios are similar to your, what the user does. Okay. So use case scenarios, as a user, I want to search for flight. As a user, I want to choose onward/return flight. Okay, or choose a route. As a user, I want to view detailed itinerary. So these are basically call to action. So what the user does as actions, right? So these are the various actions which the user performs. Okay, performs when he is interacting with the system. right? As a user, I want to select the list of passengers traveling with me, because maybe he has already filled the profile and his family information he can directly select, right? Then the last one is break out a spike. Okay, now we know that we want to send a push notification. Now, how do we send a push notification? Maybe we require a messaging system in place. Then when we consult the architect, he says, okay, we can use maybe ActiveMQ or Kafka or whatever. Yeah, but which is better? Okay, what is the kind of a data which we would like to handle? Okay, we are trying to handle, 1,000 transactions, or 1,000 real-time notifications per second, or maybe 100 real-time notifications currently per second. Okay, that is the speed with which we want, or 1,000. Then this guy says, oh, I don't know whether this is going to scale up to 1,000 or 100, but maybe Kafka and ActiveMQ or whatever could be a best choice, but maybe we need to explore, because if you are going to put this 1,000, maybe we have to buy maybe the clustering cost or the infrastructure cost is going to maybe huge. But is it important that when we are sending real-time email, it should go in that instant, or is it okay to go after 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Then the product manager or product owner says, yeah, it's okay, man. It can go after 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It's okay. So what is the kind of data which we are looking at? What is the kind of number of people? Yeah, we are looking at a number of user base as, maybe a 50,000 user base or a lakh of user base. And out of a lakh of user base, maybe 20% might have subscribed for these emails. So 20,000 subscribers we may have for real time. Now the architect negotiates with them and he says, you know what, we will come up with the architecture in a way that we will send in 1 hour of time these 20,000 emails rather than sending or pushing all the emails at one time. So, but we need to explore how it works. So maybe we will write a spike, explore using, maybe let's say they have made a decision to use Kafka. You explore using Kafka how to send in batches, how to send messages in batches. Okay, this is one exploration story. Then explore using Kafka how to recover the failed batches. So here what we are saying is, sometimes if the queue becomes more, maybe if our message fails, maybe we want to know which message or which batch has not gone successfully, or which message has not gone successfully. Maybe the next batch has gone, maybe one of the batch failed. So we want to log that and figure out which one failed. So we want to see how we can get that failed batch, as well as can we do a recover or retry. Okay, and again, based on the cost, we would like to figure out whether it is important to retry it. Okay, so maybe we can do some kind of a this one, explore using Kafka. Another thing is maybe how to set up the Kafka cluster in high availability mode, so that always our messages are going always the Kafka server is available. Now if you look at, these are the technical stories, okay, or the enabler stories, which will help to determine in which direction you want to go and what is the choice of architecture or choice of design you are going to make. So these are a couple of stories which we discussed, and this is how we can split the stories. Now, let us recap with what is the advantage of splitting stories, right? Now, the advantages of splitting stories is basically keeping the stories small so that they can be completed within an iteration. It enables us the fast feedback because they will get completed in an iteration. We can demonstrate that. It will give you quick feedback. It helps for iterative development. We can build the product incrementally. User stories are written in the voice of user. Okay, so when the user stories are written in the voice of user, it provides a perspective of what is the goal rather than focusing on the bells and whistles. Okay, can we add this also to the system requirement? Can we add that also to the system requirement, etc. Now, it also enables collaboration between the development team and PO, and for example, for the design and development, right? So when you're splitting, it's a team exercise, right? During the backlog grooming meeting or whatever, you can split. So when we are using that triple C concept card conversation confirmation, okay, it enables that collaboration, and is a healthy way to, you know, split the stories. It creates that shared understanding, and you can identify what your dependencies are, ratify those things with the other teams, and so on. It'll help you in planning and refining the backlog. It'll help you in in prioritizing the work. I hope you guys have liked the session. If you have liked, thank you so much. Please like my video. Okay, and happy writing user stories for everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.